Hi and welcome back to my channel. It's a good morning to go to a Slimming World group this morning for me and come out feeling motivated. The closer we get to Christmas, the more motivation I think I need. I'm very good at ignoring the stuff that's on sale in the shops because I can't see it. The temptation isn't as strong as it is for those of you who can see it. But by gum, I can smell chocolate at 1,000 metres, so it's not always that easy. It's been an excellent group this morning, really enjoyed it. Lots of people coming through the doors, lots of people weighing in, and lots of people choosing not to stay because they've got obvious busy things to do, like Christmas shopping and kids' parties and lots of other festive things. So although this morning at group was busy, I think it was 122 through the door, it was quite an intimate image therapy again. And I like that because it gives people a chance to speak up and share things that they don't always share. So yeah, it was good, really enjoyed it. And I'm just showing this, I finished my green blanket and I did tell Byron I'll continue to show my crochet, and Byron was really gracious and offered to help start me off on pieces, but I actually managed to start this one myself. And it's quite funny really because I haven't always been blind. I haven't been blind all of my life, and when I used to crochet a lot I could see. I've never started a piece of crochet since I've been totally blind, and I tried and tried and tried yesterday with a spare bit of wool and it just wasn't working. So I got the ball of wool out that I'd bought to start the blanket, and Joe, we call this an electric blue, which is one of my favourite colours. I got the ball of wool out to start the blanket and I could only do it if I shut my eyes. And I was sitting there chuckling away to myself because I thought, you dozy bugger. You're blind anyway, what difference does it make, you know? But I could only do it if I closed my eyes. Now, I will say it isn't perfect. It's not a perfect start, but it's working out okay. It's not as neat as when Charlotte was starting it for me, but I get better. So yeah, this is the first piece of crochet I've actually started for myself since I lost my sight. So quite an achievement. And I'm still enjoying the crochet thing because it keeps my hands busy. It gives me something to do that keeps my hands, gives me something to do that keeps my hands busy. You notice I actually put my tree, or decorated my tree for Christmas this week. I did it when Joe was at the gym, thinking he'd come home and want to move everything, but he says it's okay, didn't you?
Yeah, it's nice. So
I think to have done that myself as a blind person, admittedly I think it looks marvellous. I can't see it. But another little thing this week that before, when I was really, excuse me, I got a tickle. I see this happen to a lot of people. In America, they say if you've got a tickly nose, you're either going to, something or other, or kiss a fool. I can't think what somebody put in the comments, what's the other thing? It's something or kiss a fool. I don't know any fools to kiss. Anyway, I digress. What was I saying about decorating the tree and stuff? When I was really big and lazy, well, I think you'd describe me as an idle sod. That was apt words for me back then. I would never have done anything like decorate a Christmas tree. My husband would have done it, or maybe Joe when he was a kid if we had one or whatever. But I used to think things like that were just a waste of energy and a waste of time. Now I can't see them and I can't appreciate the look of it. I actually have got more of the energy and the enthusiasm to do things. So yeah, Joe went to the gym and I decorated the tree. So it'll do. That's my thing for Christmas. Decorate the tree, and then on my windowsill over there I've got a big blown glass Santa and 2 children, and that's my Christmas decorations because I can't stand clutter. My mum was amazed when I said to her, decorated the tree and put the Santa out, and she's like, already? Because she knows what I'm like. Usually I'd probably go up a couple of days before Christmas Eve and come down on Boxing Day because I can't stand the clutter. But I'm a head case. So this week, what's it been like? It's been quite a full-on, just ordinary, active, doing things, getting stuff out of the way type week. Started the week by going to the dentist for the 6 monthly checkup, which was a month and a half late. That was my fault because the first appointment we made I couldn't keep. But again, you know, I said nearly 8 months ago, I was grateful to a Sonic toothbrush because for the years that I've had one, I've never needed my teeth cleaning at the dentist. And I don't have good teeth. I'm not one of these people who's blessed with perfect teeth. I'm a bit like Pam Ayres. I wish I'd looked after my teeth when I was young. But again, you know, check up and did not need a clean and polish. So I'm singing the praises of Sonic toothbrushes. If somebody asks what you want for Christmas, have a Sonic toothbrush. because they really do save a lot of scraping and effort at the dentist. I just want to talk about books while we're on about Christmas. I'm an avid reader. I love to read. And I read audiobooks, of course, because I don't do Braille. But one of the things I'm noticing at the moment is thinking about one or two people I would buy books as stocking fillers for, and what would I buy them? And I just wanted to share what I'm reading at the moment, because I found a series of books that I'm finding really entertaining. I'm not particularly into chick lit, but I would describe the books that I'm reading as falling into that category. Easy reading, bit of romance, bit of sex, bit of fun, you know, the genuine chick lit stuff. And they're by an author I'd never come across before called Debbie Johnson. And there's a series of these books, and what struck me when I was looking through some books to purchase and read was the title, because they're called something or other at the Comfort Food Cafe. Now, who doesn't like comfort food? But everybody's comfort food is something different. And these stories are about a seaside place, fictional seaside place, I think, in Dorset, where there's a cafe on a cliff, and it's called the Comfort Food Cafe. And the woman who owns it is called Sherry Moon, and it brings in different characters in each book and builds up this story. And what Sherry does, and she's an older lady, she finds people, she's very good at finding people who've got worries and troubles and difficulties and things in their life that hold them back. And then she works out what is their comfort food, and they keep coming back, and she gives them, it's just funny, not funny ha-ha, but a funny way of looking at how to feed people. But the books are really, really easy reading. And I only found my first one on Monday, and I'm on the third one now. So the first one is called Summer at the Comfort Food Cafe. The second one is called Christmas at the Comfort Food Cafe. And the one I'm reading now, I believe, is called Coming Home to the Comfort Food Cafe. But I think there's 6 or 7 in the series, and they really are an easy, enjoyable read. So if you know somebody who likes that kind of book and you're looking for stocking fillers, I would recommend this author. Never come across her before, but she's got a gift for writing. The second book I'm currently reading is called The Day the World Came to Town, and it's a book about 9/11. I like interesting books that are true. Fact rather than fiction, and this is about a place in Canada called Gander, which is where a lot of the planes had to land on 9/11 when they totally closed the airspace over the USA. And this Gander has a really, I think it used to have a military base there, and that's why they've got the places where these lots of planes could land. And they ended up with, I can't remember how many planes, but over 6,000 people landing that day. And it was how the town and the surrounding areas of Newfoundland, I think you say it like that, Newfoundland, took these people to their hearts and looked after them. And it's just amazing to read the compassion and the care and the love that in that situation, it's like a wartime situation, I suppose, in most countries, but it's the way people respond with love and compassion and genuine caring for each other. And I'm only halfway through the book, but it really opens your eyes that the people who flew in, who were all on the way to America, are quite astounded because the locals are saying to them, borrow my car, have a shower in my house, let me feed you, blah, 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 blah. Here's some clothing, whatever. And one of the men in the book is the chief executive guy from Hugo Boss. And lots of different people in the book with interesting stories. It's a very, very good read. So it's I can't remember the author, but it's called The Day the World Came to Town, if you want to look for that one. And the third book I'm reading is The Borrowers. Now, when I was 8, we were reading The Borrowers at school. So that's what, 55 years ago? I'm sure I was only 8. And my mum, for Christmas, one of the presents I got that year was the omnibus, all the books put together of The Borrowers. And I said to Joe last night, just jokingly, I think I'm going to read The Borrowers again. And I actually checked it on Audible, and the guy who reads it's got the most fitting voice for the book. And it just made me smile because the book starts with the little girl's crochet hook going missing. And I was sitting there crocheting at the time. So there's some book suggestions, but there's so much good reading, and there's some excellent new books around at the moment. One of the books that they're promoting, which is a good book for men, is 20 Years of Talk Sport. There's something out there for everybody. either if you are a reader or if you want to become a reader, because I think reading is just such a special thing. I mean, you've picked up a couple of good books on Audible this week, haven't you?
Yeah.
James Herbert called Ash, which is a scary, scary one. And you're reading David Mitchell, aren't you, as well?
David Mitchell, yeah.
And Joe watches a series. What's that thing called that you watch that makes you laugh?
Peep Show.
The Peep Show. That's David Mitchell. But the book is good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, and I love his voice. He's got a really good voice for reading his own book. Lots of people are probably not into audiobooks, but it's something worth having a go at. And there are so many ways of getting hold of them these days, including joining Audible, which is my main way. Right, so what other headings did I have on my little list? I know I was going to talk about meat, wasn't I, this week?
Yeah, meat.
And what was the one after that?
Be My Eyes.
I'll do that first, because this is a little story that happened to me this week. When Joe was out and about this week, because he's been on holiday, when he was out and about this week, I decided to make some soup. So I prepped it all, and I was making butternut squash and sweet potato curried soup. And I'd got everything into the soup maker and put the liquids in, got it all set up, and then suddenly thought, from what last winter when I'd memorised the buttons on the soup maker because I can't see them, I've had a different soup maker. Oh flipping heck, what do I press? I want a smooth soup, I haven't got a clue what to press. So I have this service on one of my mobile phones, and it's called Be My Eyes. Now anybody else who's visually impaired and watching, say Shell or maybe Caroline or whatever, will know about this. But it's a service that's run by volunteers all over the world. It started in San Francisco. Talking a bit about being blind this week, aren't I? And you literally take your mobile phone, I just ask my phone, I press a button, I say Be My Eyes, and it'll ring a volunteer somewhere in the world. And I've had people in America and all over. And they answer the call, and then you use the camera on your phone and ask them, can you be my eyes? Which is regularly the thing I'll say to Joe, can you just be my eyes a minute? And I got this lovely, lovely young man in Singapore who was sitting at his desk working. And I said to him, can you just help me? I've got a new soup maker and I don't know which button to press because I've memorised my old one. And we went through it and he said, yeah, put your hand on the thing, right, go to the button on the left, that's your smooth setting, press that. And then the button far right, blah, 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 press that. Well, nothing happened. So he said to me, my dear, he said, and he sounded all of about 25, is it switched on? I put my hand to the plug and of course it wasn't. I said, I was just testing. And bless him, there you see, press the buttons, away we go, said goodbye. But I was able to make my soup while Joe was out. And it just really, really blesses me sometimes that there are people in this world, again, you know, going back to the compassion that was in the book, there are people in this world who genuinely do care enough about others to volunteer. Now this Be My Eyes organisation is based on the same street in San Francisco where I stayed when I was there a few years ago. And I found that quite, well, a coincidence, I suppose. But it was just lovely to think that somebody in Singapore could help me make my soup. So if you know anybody who's visually impaired and not aware of this service, you know, tell them about it. It's worth looking into. And if they don't know where to look into it, I suggest ringing the RNIB and asking them. It's a free service once you've got it set up on your phone, and it is so useful. I had to use it when I changed my washing machine and I wanted to find a 60-degree wash, and Joe was out, and I got a lady then in California who helped me set my washer. So it helps you when you're feeling useless because you've got no sight, where it usually wouldn't bother you and you go around your everyday life and don't think about it, but it helps you when you're in a situation of feeling inadequate or useless to just be a little bit more independent. So yeah, daft things that sighted people, oh, when I was sighted I would have just taken for granted. Right, meat. I'm interested this week in counting. I've been eating more meat. I don't usually eat very much meat, but I've been buying more meat and eating more meat. And of course you can get your 5% beef mince, and we buy the Aberdeen Angus one in Asda, which is really nice. And I buy 5% pork mince. I sometimes look at the turkey and think, shall I, shan't I? But I'm not that big a fan of turkey. You can't get chicken mince. or I probably would buy that, but I've never seen that anywhere. And one of the things that came up in group this morning, funnily enough, we were talking about lamb, and lamb is my absolute favourite when it comes to meat. But it's not possible, really, to find sin-free lamb. And you might disagree with me, but if you look in your book, it quotes sin values for lamb. Now, we talk about finding lean meat, and I'll go to Waitrose and I'll buy the extra lean lamb steaks. But for 2 small lamb steaks, it can be 13 quid, which is a lot of money for most people, most of us. One of the suggestions in group was, if you want a sin, you can't find, well, if you can, then you're a better man than I am, good in, 5% lamb mince. It's just not out there. Somebody this morning said it's in Aldi, but I've shopped in Aldi for 20 years and I've never seen it. If you have, then tell us in the comments. Maybe it is in some Aldis. It's not around here. Most lamb mince is 12 to 20%. It's quite high in sins. So we looked in the book at group, and something like lamb chops or diced lamb or whatever averages around 4.5 sins for 100 grams. And kebab meat at the chippy, lamb kebab meat, which I love, 9.5 sins for 100 grams. But all of these are quoted as raw weights. So I came home and I was telling Joe about them, because you like kebab meat, don't you?
Yeah.
But I came home and was telling Joe about it, and Joe said something which I'd never even thought of, because I like leg of lamb, a good leg of lamb. On all of these things it said 100 grams raw. So Joe says, hang on a minute, if you've got a leg of lamb and you have 2 or 3 slices off it when it's cooked, how do you know raw weight? Why would anybody quote raw weight for lamb? Why not quote cooked weight? And it's logical, because even the lamb chops, and I suppose the reason they do it is because they're quoting you the weight, hoping that you'll cut the fat off it. But, even lamb chops, 100 grams, 4.5 sins. Now, 100 grams is, to me, it's about 3.5 ounces. It's nothing, If I went out for lunch and I went to a carvery and lamb was on the menu, I'd go for lamb every time. But the carveries around here are very generous. You get 2 or 3 really good slices of lamb. And you think 100 grams raw weight, how the hell do you work that out when it's in 3 big slices, 3 thick slices on your plate? And how do you sin it? Because it's not free. And this is something I've just not thought about in the past, because if I've gone to a carvery and there's been turkey and there's been gammon and there's been beef and there's been pork and there's been lamb, I've always gone for the lamb, and I've never counted it, and I should be. And again, we got into a nice discussion in group about taking the fat off meat. Of course, a chicken you cook with the skin on. It keeps the moisture in, it makes your chicken more succulent. But any other meats, if you're new to Slimming World, I don't want to be preaching to the converted or telling the grandmother how to suck eggs. But if you're new to Slimming World and you're watching this video, any meat with visible fat, you remove the fat before you cook it, not after. And I see lots of recipes on social media where people leave the fat on the meat. That's fine if it doesn't affect your weight loss. That's fine if you're prepared to take a hit and wonder why you gained a pound that week. But if you want to do it by the book, then we need to be counting the fat on our meat. Like streaky bacon. Who's going to wrap streaky bacon around the little sausages at Christmas and stuff like that? A lot of things like that. Isn't it 4 sins for a rasher of streaky bacon? I know it's a lot, but it's easy to overlook them. And meat, unless it's 5% or less, is all sin. Yeah. I mean, we bought some butter turkey, some cooked turkey this week, and Joe was like, butter turkey. But when we looked on the packet, it was still only 1.7% fat for 100 grams. So that was fine. But little things like that, you can just trip up over. I mean, we were talking about tins of corned beef, and somebody I was talking to earlier in the week said, oh, but it's fine now because you can get a tin of lean corned beef. On Slimming World in the old days on Red, the ordinary corned beef used to be free. Now you have to buy the lean corned beef for it to be free. It's not. It's not free. It's 3 sins a tin. And we can get these strange ideas and then they become part of our lifestyle on Slimming World. And then we go to group and we're like, well, I can't understand it this week. I really thought I'd been good and I've had a little gain or whatever. It's little things like this. And with the new year coming, I think most of us will probably be tightening up. Not going back to basics. We know the basics. We know the blooming intermediary stuff. And a lot of us have been doing it that long. We know the advanced stuff. It's not necessarily going back to basics. It's really just checking that what we're doing is what we should be doing and not what we've convinced ourselves will work for us. And especially I think if we're going to stand in front of cameras and share it on social media, we have a responsibility to try and get it right. We'll all make mistakes on occasions, but we have a responsibility. And I honestly did not know until today that it's in the book, How Many Sins to Count for Lamb. And I've been doing this, 4.5 years? So, yeah, that struck me this week as something that's... Because I don't know about your family, but my family at Christmas have turkey, beef, pork and gammon, over Christmas Day and Boxing Day. You've got no control over how any of that has been cooked if you're eating at somebody else's house. And a lot of people might say it doesn't matter because I'm off plan for Christmas anyway, but not everybody will be. That was something she said, Naomi said in group this morning, the 3 ways of looking at Christmas. Are you going to say, sod it? Are you going to say, I'll continue to food optimise wherever I can and take a hit with the sins? Or are you going to say, I'll stay 100% on plan? I don't think there was a person in our group who said they were planning to stay 100% on plan for the whole of Christmas. I'm not. I'm owning the fact that I intend to have more than 15 sins on Christmas Day. But something else Naomi touched on briefly and quickly was flexi sins, because there were people in our group who believed that when you do a flexi sin meal, you have to save the sins out of your 105 to do it. You don't. A flexi sin meal is totally outside of your plan. Christmas presents, totally outside of your plan. So if you decide to go out for a meal and you decide to flexi sin it and you decide to allow yourself 60 sins and you're supposed to work backwards, or 70 sins and work backwards, and you might say, well, I'm going to have 4 10-sin glasses of wine, but by the time you get home that night you realise you only actually had 3, so you've saved yourself 10 sins. Then you stop. The next morning you get up and you've got your 15 sin entitlement. You do not deduct the sins that you flexi sin from your weekly sins, because the belief that Slimming World have is that by doing that, or by saving sins up all week to do that at the end of the week, you're just pushing yourself into diet mode. Every day is a fresh day on Slimming World. If you had a flexi sin meal last night because you were out for a Christmas do, you get up this morning and you start as usual, 2 A's, 1 B, or 1 A, 1 B if that's what you believe, and up to 15 sins. And again, it's such a blessing to be reminded of those things, and to have somebody reinforce for me, especially for me, that diet mode will not help you, Jane. So this week on our 30-day thing, which actually has finished and we're moving on into the next section of it, on Tuesday night I had some chocolate Yule log, but I ate it and I thought to myself that was probably a bit bigger piece than I should have had or whatever, but it's one cake. It's not a bad week of food. It's not worth being depressed about, it's not worth being angry over, it's not worth continuing to eat over. Carry on. And then on Thursday we went into my favourite chocolate shop, Utopia, to send some chocolates to somebody, and the lovely man in there said, can I give you a couple of chocolates? Now their chocolates are about £1 each and they are gorgeous. They're not huge, but they work out 3.5 to 4 sins each. And I took 2. Joe didn't, Joe chose not to, I took 2. But when I got home I thought, oh, I hadn't eaten those while I was walking around the Christmas market. I thought, don't be stupid, 8 sins. You've got 15 in the day. You haven't done anything wrong. So I ate the 2 chocolates as we walked through the Christmas market. I carried on as normal. I didn't then let that blow me out the water. Came home, had my proper lunch, my proper dinner, carried on, got through quite comfortably to this morning and went to group.
Sorry Mum, you're at 25 minutes.
Right, stepped on the scales and lost £1. So I'm quite happy with that this week. Do you want to share what you lost?
3/4 of a pound.
Yep, so he's not peed off this week. he's doing good. That's been our week. So yeah, can't ask for any more than that. Christmas is getting closer. I don't make a big deal of Christmas, it's not really my thing, but I'm just getting on with my life. And yeah, grateful to be here, grateful to be 9 stone 7.5, which is far better than I was 4 or 5 weeks ago, and still planning to try and drop the odd ½ pound and keep going down, but not dieting to do it because I can't do that. So thanks for being there, thanks for watching, thanks for all your lovely comments, and God willing we'll be back next Saturday. Cheers.